All right. Once again, you want to make sure in today's setup that you've applied for the auto deleveraging and you've gotten your approval. All of the setups we're going to be giving for today is majorly going to be focused on you using the auto deleveraging function that totally changes your setup and how we do our setup for the maximum profit with the lowest possible risk. All right, so let's see what the market is currently doing and how we're going along with our setup for today. I'm going to be sharing my screen right away. All right, please let me know if you can see my screen. That is going to be helpful. You could just send it into the chat. I want to be sure we're all on the same page today. Now, I did state yesterday that when the market does move like we're expecting it to move, we're going to see a whole lot of short liquidation, which I did emphasize that if you are following the Tafabot trade, you want to ensure that you do not have a short position opened throughout the last couple of days. So I did state that a whole lot of time, that you want to make sure you don't have a short position open, that when the market does move, it's not going to give you an opportunity to get out of your short, which is one of the reasons we never had a short setup. Now you can see that obviously in the market, and I did show yesterday how a lot of short positions is going to be cleared out of the market, and you could see that has already happened over here. So much short position totally cleared out of the market. Now you could see a whole lot of long position run into the market at the cost of the CPI announcement. So you could see like over here 283 million long position happening at around 24,600, and you could see so much like pile up of larger, all the big bubbles you see over here are a lot of positions hanging on the market right now. So there are really tiny bits of shorts which are being liquidated over here, really tiny bits of short, and you could find thereabouts the last level of shorts in this current market frame will be liquidated at around $27,200. Now, if we look at BTC, BTC is already at over 26,300. So if you're and you're in any short position, you want to make sure you manage that. But if you've been following the setup, then you're not at all in any short position. So you could see a whole lot has happened over here. But then there are also other things that we need to consider with the CPI results. Reports coming in about lower up to 6% right now. There's so much to consider. As much as the market is pumping really high, we also want to trade carefully, and we're going to show reasons for that. Where we also need to be careful with our long setup at this point, as much as we're trusting for the best of the markets to keep going up. Now, back to liquidation data, we did show yesterday that a lot of the short positions that we're hanging in at a very tiny level of liquidation. If this data gets up, so we see over $330 million flashed out of the market in the last 24 hours of short position, because a lot of users were still on shorts and trusting that the market progressively keep dumping. And I'm glad there is no Tafabot user in that circle. Then we move to what we talked about yesterday, that from today we're going to have an updated calculator system and then an updated Tafabot Martingale bot that deals with the function called auto-deleveraging. So we're going to be using this throughout our setup for today. If you load the new calculator, you're going to find this function auto-deleveraging. And what it simply means is if you are creating a setup and you're going for, let's say, 5 or 10x leverage, and you keep taking profits, if the market goes against your setup, and you have the auto deleveraging function turned on, it's going to automatically deleverage your position from the 10s, the 5s that you are, and make sure the market doesn't have that maximum effect on you if you were on that level of leverage. So that is a really good function. Now it's going to be in the new app like we talked about yesterday, but I did give everyone who attended the live setup yesterday and access to be able to have a pre-access into this. So if you still want a pre-access, of course, it's not going to be activated like right away. You should have sent it like hours ago. Or if you still do want a pre-access, you want to send it to futures@tafabot.com. I'm just going to put that right into the chat again. You want to send to futures@tafabot.com. Now, if you do send that, it's going to take a couple of hours and yours will be activated. Why for any other person who has sent that before now, you should already have a mail that yours is activated already. So every of the setup you're going to be taking today is going to be using the new function of auto deleveraging for your account. So let's head straight into the chart and then we head straight into creating our setup. All right, so back to the charts over here. We did create our setup already for all of the markets we're going to be dealing with. And this was our setup here of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin already broke through the roof. Immediately, the CPI reports came in and broke really into our first zone of the setup right over here. So what we're looking at, Bitcoin is hitting 26,700 first. And if it does break above that range, then we should be expecting Bitcoin, like I said yesterday, at around $31,700. But it should really be a kind of careful trade, considering that the market right now won't just be moving with only technical analysis, but also being influenced by several news like the CPI news that just came in and a lot of that. So it does call for our trade to be to have some level of carefulness. Now, why do I say that is, if we head straight into the dollar dominance, USDT, we're going to find also that USDT dominance after the whole dump that happened in the crypto altcoins and BTC, and money flowed back into dollars. You could see all of those money living out of dollars and a large portion happening over here. But we're just about hitting a money flow support for USD. So what this means is at this level of money flow support, people could decide to start taking in profit, to start cashing out profit from the BTC pump, the altcoin pump back into their USDT. So we could be expecting money flowing back into USDT as at this point. So a bounce in USDT should be expected. And when that happens, you're going to also see a decline in the BTC and the altcoin market. So that's why it calls for a little bit carefulness while taking up any position that you want to do today. So we also see the BTC dominance also skyrocketing to also approach its own resistance. And that is going to be happening at the same time that the USDT money supply is also hitting its support over here. So you will also find the same thing happening on the altcoin dominance over here. So in all of this market, what we're seeing is that a lot of the markets could be hitting a resistance soon. We've had a really good pump from around 19,000 over here, skyrocketing to the roof right now of $26,200. So we really want to be careful when creating our setup. Now we're going to jump into the setup as usual to make sure we all follow it up before we head back into the chart of the individual setup to now see what the setup means. Now, I did say that we're going to be having like a whole bunch of setup today. So you want to be prepared for that. We're going to be having regular. We normally do like 1 to 3 setup, but today you're going to have a whole lot of setup into the markets. All right, I can see already the comments flowing in. Where can you see the auto deleveraging? You're going to find that in the new calculator. Just refresh the Matinga calculator page and you're going to find that. I have this other message says the calculator has really been helpful and you wish to participate in the live stream. Amazing. I'm going to take notes of that and we're going to get back to that along the course of this section. So let's jump right in first into making these setups. All right. So for today, we're going to be doing way over 5 different setup, and you want to put all of this setup into your Tafabot already, and we're going to kickstart all of those setup. Now, number one, we're looking at CFS, and then this is available on sports and on futures. Our price movement we're targeting is for 33%. Now, if you have a capital below 290 bucks, you're going to have your average movement at 6. And if your capital is way above that, then you have it at 3. Now, for this, we're looking at long following what the market is currently doing, but gladly that we're using the auto deleveraging function, which will ensure that if the market does go sideways, like we've seen, that there's also a possibility of the market hitting those resistance and people start cashing out profit. The auto deleveraging function is going to cover that up for us. So you want to head straight into your Tafabot and put up the setting available for sports and also for the futures markets. Now, it's quite simple how to do that. All you need to do is take the price movements, 33, the average, let's say 3 if you have over 300 bucks. So you go to the calculator, you put in your capital, like I'm going to be doing my setup also. So put in a capital that I want to put into that market, and 33 for me it's going to be 3. And over here we have the maximum leverage for this market at 5. There's some market that we're going to also be doing the 10s leverage. So you want to make sure you click the auto deleveraging because it's going to give you a different calculation as it relates to what your entry should be based on auto deleveraging, and it's totally different from what your entry should be without the auto deleveraging. So you want to make sure you tick up the auto deleveraging, then you push for calculates, and it does give you all your setups like this, and you head straight into your Tafabot to create the setup. So I'm going to leave this in the screen over here. So we're seeing why making the setup, why I head into making my own setup on my Tafabot app. If you're joining us for the first time, I like to believe that you've also joined our other classes that teaches you how to create these setups, how to set up the bot itself. If you've not, you want to join the Telegram channel, and you're going to get the link for that meeting. And it's also going to be happening today, that guides you on what are all of these figures, what is a price movement, what is average movement, what is long shots, and all the rest of that. But if you've already gotten that, you want to head straight into creating the setup. So someone said, what about those that don't have the auto deleveraging already? So Christopher, what you want to do is you want to apply for the auto deleveraging right away. Send the email, just say auto deleverage with your Tafabot username or email to the futures at Tafabot. Now, when you do that, what I can ensure is that an hour after this this live section, I'm going to make sure the technical guys activate that for everyone who is currently applying on this meeting already. Now, if you have already applied, then it's already on for you. You already have auto deleveraging. All right. So if your calculator is not showing that, you want to make sure you refresh it. It possibly has some cache on that. You want to just clear your cache and refresh it. Remember, auto-deleveraging doesn't apply to sports. It's only on futures. So you want to switch to futures to be able to see that. So I'll just head straight into setting up my own Tafabot for CFX. You want to make sure you're doing that right away because we're going to run through a bunch of setup. If possible, we're going to spend like 3 minutes in doing all of the setup so we can run really, really faster. Perfect. I'm just going to give about 2 minutes to make sure you run through all of this setup and save, start your setup, and we'll jump right into the next setup. If you've created this, you can always send in the chat. Just let me know that, hey, I've done my setup already for CFS. You can just indicate right there into the chart that you've done that. And as many of you that have done that, you could just indicate and we'll progress. I won't be sharing my PC, my mobile screen directly from the laptop because it's going to cause a lag in our setup. So you want to make sure you've done that. I see a lot of the message coming in, CFS setup done, done. So you want to start that up right away. Or if you don't want to start it up, you could create all of the setups, right? And you could choose which one you want to go for because there's a lot of setups today. We're not just talking about 1, 2, 3, there's a lot of setup. Then you could decide which of the setups do you want to go for. Another user asking, how do you apply for auto-deleveraging? All right, how do you apply for auto-deleveraging? Once again, you want to do that to futures@tafabot.com. If you're not yet in this live setup group, you want to make sure you join that group right away. We do post all details there, and also we post the market movement, what the market is doing, what are the possibilities of the market, to make sure you don't miss a thing. So you want to make sure you join that group. Someone said the capital for sports with the setup is way higher. Correct. The capital is going to be way higher for sports than on futures, but generally the same setup will work for you. For sport, what that means is it's going to require you to go with the minimum trade capital like Binance that requires about $11 per trade minimum. So that's why your setup is going to be quite different from the guy who is totally just on leverage. So you want to put that right in. Yeah. Now, if this setup doesn't go for you, we're going to see so many other setup that we're going to go for. So we're done with this. We're going to head straight into the next setup. CFS is totally done. Next setup is for MKR. You could see it right there in the screen. Also, we're tracking the price movement, 40 and average movement 6. If you have way over 290 bucks or below, we're tracking 6. If you have way over, you are tracking 3. So this is right on your screen. Now for MKR, we're doing up to 10x leverage just on the basics that you're using the auto deleveraging. Now you do not want to take any of the setup activated using this leverage if you do not have an auto deleveraging function. That is the function that sorts your account and takes out the risks of leveraging. So right here on your screen, you want to make sure you put in the MKR setup right away. Once again, for the user who says you can hear me, I think that should be from your part. You want to check that on your device. If you're done with MKR, you just want to say also in the chat group, MKR is done. And then we move to the next setup. We have so much setup and we want to run through a whole bunch of them. Now, what you can do if you're a user with capital up to, let's say, 1,000, 5,000 bucks, 20,000 and the rest, you want to spread your capital among all of the setup. So you don't say, okay, I want to put $20,000 at once into the setup. You can say, okay, I want to put $2,000 here, $2,000 there, $5,000 there, and just have your capital spread across several setups. So you could make the best profit out of them. We're going to have 2 minutes more and we're going to head straight into the next setup. My MKR is totally done. If you're done with MKR, you want to indicate in the chart, say done, MKR. All right, 1 minute more and we'll move on from MKR. I'm not sure, Trisha, I do understand what you mean. Do you mean setup only for auto deleveraging? All right, so you could use the setup on sports, that's totally fine. You can also use it on futures, that's totally fine. You can also use it for futures without auto deleveraging, but I do not understand why any user would not want to go for auto deleverage. I simply cannot understand why someone would not want an auto deleveraging, which takes away the risks from your trade if the market does go against you. That is something to really be excited about. But at your discretion, you can still choose not to go for an auto deleverage and use the same setup. Someone said, can I use an average higher movement for more capital? Yes, you can do that also. It's just going to change how your setup runs. Now, the reason why we try to go for a lower average setup for guys with higher capital is that it gets your capital more into the market, so you have more possibility to make more profits because you have a larger capital. Now, we go for a higher average movement for lesser capital because we want to spread your capital to be able to cover up for all the movement, so you don't exhaust your capital before the whole of the movement happens. So yes, if you have a higher capital, you can also go for a higher average movement, but you do understand the difference between that. Okay, Teresa, you're asking again, how do you apply for the auto deleverage? Just send to futures@tafabot.com. Just say, I'm applying for auto deleveraging. Here's my Tafabot username or my Tafabot email. They're going to verify that and activate that for you. Now, when we do get that into the app in a couple of weeks from now, you will not need to apply again. It's going to be available for everybody in a couple of weeks from now. You could just put it in your Tafabot app setup and click auto deleverage in one click. All right, I want to believe we already got this, and we're going to be moving into the next setup right away. Our next setup is for YFI. Now, this is one trade that we did take a profit from days ago, and it went way over the roof above our entry due to also the CPI data. Now, this is also a super trade to go into as the market is still in that direction. Now, if you did close your YFI yesterday in profit, or you did close it at a stop loss because of the CPI data we're expecting, if that was wrong, all of the market will be literally going to zero by now. BTC will probably run around 22,000, but it's amazing that the results came in really, really good. So we're back to those positions. So you don't want to feel bad that you closed it up yesterday because you wouldn't know what the report would have been by today. And if it was bad, then your trade would have gone really bad because you did not have auto deleveraging as such yesterday. So this is our setup for YFI. We're tracking in 24% movement, capital way above 200 bucks, has a 3 average And this is long spot futures. You can do the same trade. The maximum leverage for Wi-Fi is a 5. You want to make sure you have auto deleveraging on also. Now, if you did notice, all of the trade has a risk preference relaxed. Now, the only reason why we're able to use a risk preference relaxed is that we have auto deleveraging. If you do not have that, you want to go for conservative. You want to be conservative. But with auto deleveraging, we can have a much more relaxed risk because we're totally not bothered about what the market is going to do, because auto deleveraging is going to save our capital from that. All right, 2 minutes more, and we're going to head into the next setup. We've done 3 setup already. I'm going to head straight into running my Wi-Fi setup. Wi-Fi. Let's hit on that immediately. You want to make sure you're putting in those setup. If you do have a question, you could send it into the chat. What information do I need to send to request? Literally just say I want auto deleverage, and with your Tafabot email, that's all. That's all you need to send. And right away, the technical team is going to get that activated for you. Now, like I said, in a couple of weeks' time, you will not need to request, because it will be available for you to just, in a click, turn on auto deleveraging or turn it off. All right, I'm going to head straight into my Wi-Fi trade, 24.5. I'm still going to leave this in the screen while I'm going through to make sure we all do get it at the same time. Average movement, 24. 24.3. Leverage 5. When making your setup, please ensure you do click, unclick, and ensure that your auto deleveraging is clicked on, so you do not have a setup that is not for auto deleverage. Okay, my first entry, 29.5, 29.5. Every number of entries is 8, leverage 5. Take profit, relax, strategy period 10. Entries are running at 3 to 24. Perfect. If you're done with yours, you could just say done in the charts, and we move to the next one. I am saving mine right away and clicking the start button. I did say a lot. If you are a Tafabot leader, or you do run your own Tafabot community and you want to benefit more from this, I did say a lot of stuff that we're going to be bringing in that is going to be very helpful for you. You want to check out for the yesterday's video and watch that video. It's really going to be so much helpful for you. Things like taking the setup, creating your mirror on the setup, and users able to copy you irrespective of capital or exchange. And you could charge a fee for that on the Tafabot app. When that is also released, we're going to go through that once more. Someone said, please, can we turn on the bot already? Yes, you can straight in turn on the bot. I did say you could take all the setup and decide which one to turn on, because we're going through a lot of setup today. But if you're already comfortable with the number of ones you've gotten and you feel like, okay, I'm good with these ones, then you can turn on right away. My Wi-Fi is on. All of my bots are already on right now. Someone said, if I continue with the setup without auto deleveraging, Christopher, please put the setup with auto-deleveraging. If you've applied for it and you've not gotten a response, after this call, just chat in the Telegram channel and a support team is going to be with you right away to set that up for you and track your email in case they missed it to activate that. So you get it activated like really instantly after this call. So you want to set up for auto-deleveraging. You could decide not to turn the bot on at this point. You could also turn it on, but you want to make sure you follow that through right after this meeting so auto-deleveraging is on. Someone said auto-deleveraging, is it in the bot or the one in the calculator? Now, the calculator gives you the setup that auto-deleverage can work with, but the auto-deleveraging is done directly into your Tafabot account. Now, I did say that we're going to have that in the app for everybody, but for now, we're giving pre-access to that. Means you just need to send an email, say, could you activate this on my account? And it will be done for you. Okay, if you've applied and you've not gotten it, you want to track that. Once again, you could chat up in the channel and say, hey, I applied. The support team is going to reply you directly into the channel and proceed on how to help you. Someone said, where do I put the auto-deleveraging in the calculator? Where do I put the auto-deleveraging in the calculator? Just right here, just click on it, auto-deleverage on, off, on. That's it. That's all you need to do right here. And this is for futures. It doesn't apply to sport. Someone said, I've got a reply, but it's not set up yet. If you've gotten a reply, then it's on. It's set up already. You can directly use it. Okay, we're going to move to the other market. We've gone through a whole lot. We just checked that again. We started with CFX. We moved to MKR. Now we're at YFI. Let's run. Now we have the setup for BTC. So our setup for BTC, we're tracking a 27% price movement and average. If you have capital way over this amount is 4.6 and capital way above this amount is 4.3. So you want to put that in based on your capital. We're still longing or buying if you're on spot. The BTC, we are able to do a 10x leverage on the ground of auto-deleveraging is on. And the take profit is 1. We're relaxed only on the ground of auto-deleveraging again. So you want to head straight into putting in those setup right away. I'm going to head straight into my own Taffer and create my setup while leaving that in your screen to follow through. All right. Let's go. BTC setup. If there's anything that is not clear at any point, you can always send into the chat group. BTC setup. I want to put in $10,000 on the 10s, $100,000 position size. And I have 27.6. $27.6, leverage 10, auto deleveraging is on, calculates 27.3. Okay, I got my setup 19.5. Number of entry 9. leverage 10, relast. If you're done with your own setup, you could just indicate in the group, setup done, 327. Setup done, amazing. Okay, I do have some comments. 1 minute, I'm going to go through the chart again. There's a lot of comments coming into the chart. Just a moment. Please, can $100 be used for BTC setup? Now, what we did do today is to provide a whole lot of setup here. There's setup that requires like really lesser capitals to set up, that requires different levels of capital. So if you're trading with, let's say, $100, there's a lot of setup for you, $200 or even lower. For BTC, let's say you want to go for the user said $100. Can I set up BTC? Let's just see. If we do use auto deleveraging, it kind of makes the setting a little bit different. But if for any reason your setup doesn't go for any of the markets, like the BTC, you want to go for other market that your setup goes for. So $100, 6, and we have 6 over here, leverage, maximum leverage 10. Okay, 10 leverage won't go through. Then we have 7, 6, 5S leverage. Yeah, so this is what you can do. We did say your maximum leverage is this. You could go lower. So when you go for a 10S leverage using auto deleveraging for $100, you could see my screen. It tells you that wouldn't work. You're going to auto deleverage after using a 10S on $100 capital. The setup won't be absolutely a good setup. So if you do go for a lesser leverage, a 5S with $100, it gives you your setup for that. So let me know if that is clear. User Solomon asking what you need to do. You must not go for the highest level of leverage. If you're using auto deleveraging, you want to mellow down also for if you have a lesser capital. Okay, another user, $1,000 not able to cover. Let's do the same thing. $1,000, 27, 6, leverage 5. So you have your setup on leverage 5. That could happen if you go way over leverage 10. So it tells you, okay, this is not a perfect setup if you want to have an auto deleveraging function. So leverage 5 is your answer, user auto. Okay, another user, Weasley, the same thing like I just showed here. You want to go for leverage 5. Maybe you could even go for other leverage. So you want to see what leverage works for you if you're using auto deleveraging. $266, 27, 6. Let's say 7S leverage. Go, you see, a 7S leverage did go through, but a 10S leverage did not go through because it would be too much of leverage for your capital when using auto deleveraging. So I hope that is clear for those users. Someone said, what kind of trading view are you using and what plan do you pay? It's the regular trading view you do use, and I paid the highest maximum subscription to be able to have access to whatever tools I need for trading view. So you want to check that out. Okay, another user for $360, practically the same thing I did. Go for $360, 27. Let's say leverage 5, price movement 6, and you have your setup right here. If you do go for 10S, then it tells you that you could go for 7S or other price movements. So the same thing, user Faladay and all other users asking for that. Perfect. Well understood. I love that. So back to our setup. I need to complete my setup also. So it's going to be in your screen a little bit more to make sure you get all the setup. I have 3, 6, 9, 12. If you do have some feedback, you want to send it right into the chart. $24, $27, $21, $24, and $27. Yes, and there goes. Someone said, I hope we get the setup on the group to cross-check. Yes, you'll get the setup. Christopher, if your setup is giving you 4 re-entry, that's totally fine. As far as you're using the calculator, whatsoever it gives you in your setup is totally fine. Now, it depends on what is your average movement. Your capital determines how many re-entries your setup is going to be giving to you. Okay. Save right away, save, and up and running BTC setup. And let's hit straight to the next setup. Someone said, I haven't gotten a response for the auto-deleveraging yet, but it's on the calculator. It also needs to be activated in your account. If you haven't gotten a response, you want to follow that up right after this call. You could send a chat into the group. There's a support team also in that chat that looks through whatever support queries you might need and see how to track your support tickets to help you better. All right, let's move forward to more setup. Now we have FTM setup. I told you today we're going to be having like bunch of setup, and as we keep going, we're going to be having like much more setup coming in. MKR setup is already on profit. YFI is, Lena is, and all of this setup. So as we keep going, we're going to be having much more setups. There are times we're going to be doing 20 setups in a day. For users with larger capital who wants to take advantage of all the setup, we got you covered. We're going to be having so much setup. So FTM, this is a setup for large capital guys. For low capital, I did say there's no setup yet for FTM. For large capital guys, this is your setup. If you have capital way above $1,000, then you're able to use the setup for FTM. So FTM, we're covering for FTM, we're covering a 52% price movement and a 6% average. So what does this mean? Let's take, for example, how do you go into all of this trade? You want to pay attention to this. Let's say that you have $10,000 total capital portfolio, for example, and we've given trade setups from here. So you could say, okay, CFS, I'm going to put in $2,000 into you, MKR 2,000, making it 4,000, YFI 2,000, 6,000, BTC 2,000, 8,000, and the other 2,000 I'm going to put into FTM. Now you have several setup running with your total capital of $10,000. Now you don't say FTM $10,000, you say $2,000. You're breaking your capital into all of this setup, so you have more trades. There are times that a market could be moving, other markets are stagnant, so you want to take advantage always. That's why larger capital is always good to take much more markets. So FTM, you want to go straight into your setup for FTM. I'm going to pull my setup right away, and I'll leave this in your screen to keep taking the setup. Another user, I used the leveraging from the calculator. I didn't see it in the app. Yes, I did explain the auto deleveraging is not like for every Tafabot users at this point. We only made it open to say, hey, if you have been attending the live call, means you are really interested in the daily profit, daily trading, we want to give you a pre-access to auto delivery. Now, this is going to be open for every Tafabot user in the coming weeks. But for now, what you need to do, why we didn't announce it to the whole community, is not on Tafabot social media or announcement channel. I'm only saying this over here, that I did give you an access to apply to futures at tafabot.com. Just send a simple mail. I want auto deleveraging. Here is my Tafabot email. and you're going to get a response activated for your account. So every bot you're running on futures market will be using auto-deleveraging automatically. Once it is activated, you don't need to request for it again. Now, when the new app does come, you'll be able to select individual bots to say, okay, this bot uses auto-deleverage, this bot doesn't use. You'll be able to do that on your own, selecting different bots to use auto-deleverage. All right, I hope that is clear for user Zion and user John asking for that. And now I'm going to head straight into setting my FTM. You want to make sure you're doing the same also. All of our setups are totally on green. Lena is already doing a 10% profit on the entry capital. MKR is almost doing the same thing also. Someone said, is there a setup for $100 spot? We're going to go through spot again. All of the setup I gave can go for all of the market. I'll cross-check that with you once more. I want to make sure I put in my setup for FTM also. If you're there, you want to do that right away. Okay, FTM, we're covering a really large price movement, and price movement 52, average 6, and leverage 5. Now, guys, you see really the beauty of auto-deleveraging function, how we're not scared with going for the leverage now. We're saying leverage 5, and we're not bothered just because of auto-deleveraging. Okay, FTM. What's the setup for Lena? I'm not sure we did mention Lena. So user Eric, I'm not sure we did mention Lena. So you want to check on that. We did not mention Lena. FTM. Okay, said I just did. Maybe I did make a mistake on that. So FTM setup, look at the setup on the screen. Whatever is on the screen is what I'm possibly talking about. For those of you who is new and want to know how the setup is done, I'll just take you through that while creating my own setup so you do have a clue about that. So you could see already on my screen, we're tracking 52.5. So if you're joining for the first time, I'm going to show you how I'm creating this FTM setup so you do have a full clue of how that works. All right, so if you can see my Tafabot app, so I'm going to go into creating a new bot because I do not have one for FTM. So I'm going to call it FTM setup. I go for my exchange, I go for the market, FTM. And then I put in the capital I want to do into that. Someone said, can we try the FTM setup for capital lower? I did give a lot of setup for lower capital for FTM. I did say it is a high capital setup. So you want to put in what is your capital? Like I did explain, let's say you have $50,000 capital size in your Binance or whatever exchange, and you say, okay, FTM, I want to just put in $3,000 into you. And the strategy mode is long. If you are on spots, it's already set automatically, so you don't need to do anything. So I go to the next, I need to enter the first entry amount. Now, how do I get that? Is simply by going to what are we tracking for FTM. So what are we tracking? We're tracking, move over, we're tracking 52 and 6. So I'm going to go right into the calculator. I'm going to put in capital $3,000, for example, 52 and 6, and leverage. I want to go for 5. Then it gives me this setup over here. You could see it gives you literally everything you need. Then I have number of entries as 8. So I'm going to put that in here. I have my force capital as 5.7. I'm going to put that in here. And then I have my leverage 5. Now the re-entry ratio I have over here 6, 12, 18, 24. So you want to put the same 6, 12, 18, 24. And yeah, we have 30, 36. Okay, 30, 36. And we have 42, 48. This is so amazing. We're tracking a 50% movement in FTM. That is a really volatile market. So that's why we're tracking the highest level of volatility levels. So the setup is pretty easy and straightforward. What you have to do, save, take profit, 1, relax. We're not going conservative if you have auto deleveraging on. Strategy period 10, re-entry 0.1, 0.1. Create bots and start. You're going to find the bot FTM and confirm start, and that is all you need to do to set up the bot. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So I want to be sure that that is totally already done, and we're going to move to the next setup. If you've taken FTM, you want to say that. So I'm going to go through again for the spots guys before we go for the next setup. What the spots holds. Gonna move to sharing my screen again. All right, so for spot guys, like I did say, let's go to the market. We did indicate for lesser capital. Let's say the CFS, or we could use the YFI. Let's say YFI, for example. Should you take the $100? How do you set it up for sports guys, for the users that ask? So YFI 24/6. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna switch back to sports. So I'm gonna say $100, 24/6 pull. Let me be sure about that. 24/6. Okay, we couldn't go for that. Let's see. For $100 sport. I'm gonna refresh this just to be sure we don't have auto deleverage on 24/6. That is way above. Let's see how far we can go on that. Perfect. So that wouldn't go for spots. Let's do that again. 24. And I'm gonna move the ratio a little bit higher for $100. And let's say I want to track 9, then we do get some data on 9. So let's go again to $100, 24, average 6 is what we're doing. Now we'll go for average 7. Perfect. All right, so for spot guys, I did increase the average a little bit to 7 from 6 for guys with like $100 capital. And the calculator is created in consideration to the lowest capital that Binance will require from you. So that's why you're going to have all of the setup require you to have a minimum capital for sports. So you have 7 right over here. We're also going to state that in the group for sports guys, you could go for an average 7 and that would be fine. All right, let's head straight into what is the next setup that we're doing. We've gone through MKR, YFI, BTC. You can also go for BTC setup, spot guys, FTM. Now we have Tomo as the next setup that we're looking at. Tomo is also for high capital guys. So we did go through 5 setup for any capital and about 4 other setup for really high capital. All right, so Tomo is on your screen. We're tracking 42 and 6. So you want to make sure you go through that. I'm going to set up my Tomo right away. $42 and 6 and leverage 5, auto deleveraging on, push. All right, I'm setting up my Tomo bot. I do not have one, so I'm going to be creating Tafabot, create bot, Tomo setup. All right, maximum total capital. If you're done with the setup, you want to indicate that you are done. I see some users asking back for the old setup, the CFS, and all of the setup we've done before. We could run through them, but you're also going to find that in the group right after this call. We really need to jump into the charts in a few minutes. Leverage 5. If you're done with the setup, please indicate that you're done. Number of entries 7. Leverage 5. Amazing. Take profit. Relast. 10. 0.1. 0.1. Creates. Tomo created. Turn on board. All right, we're going to head into the chart in a short while. Where to find the auto-deleveraging in the Tafabot app. I still have a lot of these questions coming in. This is more reason you want to be part of the Tafabot group, where we do send all of these details and we do chats there. You're able to ask a question there. So I did say you need to send it to futures@tafabot.com. All right, guys. So I want to be sure that in the next 1 minute, we're done with Tomo setup, and we're going to publish all of this setup into the group. For now, let's just jump into the chart once more and look into what the market is saying. What should we expect with the setups we just did, and why we're pulling in these setups. Right. First, for BTC, number one thing to note is this is our setup for BTC. We created the setup right about here before the CPI data came in, and BTC is already in the first zone. Now, I did say that we're hitting a lot of resistance level already. Now, we have one at 26,700 and the other at about this point over here at 31,800, which I did talk about yesterday. Now, if the market keeps rallying the way it's doing right now, we're going to find ourselves around there. But if that does fail and we're back to 24,700 and we still have a zone here around 21,700K, but that's really a really long zone for BTC, which is why we're covering the BTC zone there about here, keeping BTC at the maximum low it can go if the market decides to go wrongly. Then we have CFS, amazing. So this is our setup for CFS right over here, and it has broken way above our first zone, and it's a little bit hitting our second zone of 33%. That's crazy. So from the time we started this Zoom, CFS has done almost 33% right now. That is super crazy. So if you did set up that bot, you should already start seeing your CFS profits lining in. What if CFS does decline? We already did create a cover for it. If it does decline, we're capturing the CFS low over at this point. And like I did say, we're already hitting a lot of resistance on almost all the market. Now, the market should keep pumping, but we are already hitting this resistance that could affect the market from pumping. So which is why we're using auto-deleveraging for all of this. Then we have MKR. Now, MKR is one of the markets that is not fully moving up like we did indicate. It's not fully very, very vibrant right now. So you could see it didn't even go into the first zone, even after markets like CFX and the rest was already hitting over the roof. So this is one market that we're also covering up for the maximum low that the market can go right over here. So if the market does go down further, we're going to be entering into our zone right about $790 and over here at 729. So pretty much we're covering up for all the downturn that the market could take. All right, I see a lot of questions about the BTC setup, and we're going to take a look at it again. Then we have YFI right over here. So this was our setup for YFI. At this point, YFI is already moving into our first zone of 10%, keeping YFI at 999, approximately $10,000. Now, if the market keeps progressing, we're going to be finding YFI at 11,200. Now, if you do remember, this was approximately our setup for YFI before the whole market news came in that caused the market to dump. Now we're back to the setup, covering it again for YFI. Now, if YFI does decide to decline, we have a level here at 8,000, another level here at 7,700, and a final decline at 6,900, and which is what we're totally covering up for if the market decides to go in that direction. Okay, I still a lot of questions. I'm going to read through that. Okay. And then we have INJ setup. Did we go through INJ setup again? Okay, yes, we have INJ setup over here, and that's we're covering up for the first movement. All of the setups are already hitting our first zone right over here, up to 10%. INJ has already done that. Then we have the second zone at $5 INJ. If the market does decline, these are levels we're looking at. First, 3.4, then we're looking at 3, then we're also looking at 2.5. Then there are also setups for oceans. There's a lot of setups we can't go through today because we're already lacking time, but I'm going to post all the setups in the chat group. Then we also have ocean right over here. So for ocean, it's already hitting our first zone over here. And someone did ask a question about ocean last time, and I decided to make a setup for it. Then we're also hitting straight into ocean, getting to 47 cents, and finally at about 51 cents. Now, if it does chooses to decline, we have first zone at 23 cents, another at 29, and final zone at 23. Then we did look at FTM. You could see literally all our setups are already in our first zone. So that's something really interesting. They're already progressing in that direction. So we have that happening over here at first zone at 49 cents and the final zone at 64. Now, this is why for FTM, we're covering the final zone at 54. FTM is very volatile. It can blow over the roof into that zone, and we want to cover up for every possible movement. Then we have Tomo right over here that is just stepping into our first zone right over here. Keep it Tomo at 55 cents. And if it does keep going up, we're going to be finding it at there about 68 cents. Now, if it does go down, we're covering up for the maximum down that Tomo can do, keeping it at 29 cents from the current price. So these are what we're looking for in the market. So if the market does choose to decline, you want to be assured that we're already covering up for all of the declines in the setup while using auto-deleveraging. If that does happen, we're already seeing MKR doing that. We're already covering up for all of that. So if that does happen, you're having more entries into the market for more profit, but you want to make sure you are on auto-deleveraging. So let's go through once more a lot of the questions over here. Please, was the CFS setup $100 on sports? Can we make MKR setup? Okay, let's start with the first question. CFS setup. Let's put it for $100. So we head straight right into the setup screen and we move to CFX. So a lot of setup that we didn't have a lot of time to go through, like Ocean, like INJ. We didn't have a lot of time to go through the setup. I'm going to put that right into the group and you can just take it. So CFS, we're covering over here, we're covering 33 and 6. So the user asking, let's see that again. You're asking if you could use it. All right, on sports. Okay, so let's go for sports. This setup is for sports, 33, 6. So we have $100, 33, 6. Sports not going through. Now we could increase the price movement if we want to go for around 8. That still didn't go through. 33, $100, 33, 10 average. So 10 average does go through. Now, the reason why we're covering up for lesser average is that we want to have more entries into the market at shorter interval. Now, it doesn't stop you to increase your average movement. And I did explain what average movement is and how do we find it out. I'm just going to show that again. What is average movement and how do we get those data we use for average movement? So let's take, for example, the CFS setup that we're creating over here that is already pumping. We want to look through what does CFS do on an average ranging market. So to figure that out, we look for certain levels that CFS has been in and what percentage of movement was he able to do on those levels. Now for BTC, for example, when you check it out on BTC, it almost has not changed over the couple months. It's always at around 1 to 3%. So for coins like CFS, we want to track the range. So we can see a range happening over here. We want to track that average range. So you see that average range here at about 6%. So this is why we track 6%, right? Now for higher capital, there are also range where the market is running with 3%, which is why we track 3. Now, it doesn't stop us to say we want to go way high and we want to go for 10%. What will happen is you're actually going way over the average movement. Now, let's take, for instance, that the CFS price decides to start moving and it goes to this point of 6. You should be expecting a new entry coming in at this point, but because you are at 10, your entry might not get in except CFS decide to keep breaking above. So the shorter limit gives you more entry than the longer, but it doesn't invalidate the setup if you're using a longer limit. So straight back to the setup again, you can choose to go for a 10 for price movement 33, and that will still be absolutely fine. Now, what I'm going to do is to put up the setup to say, if you're on spots, this is what to use. If you're on futures, this is what to use. And I'm going to put that into the channel right after this call. Let's look through a whole lot of questions again. Can you have the MKR setup again? I'm going to put it in the group. BTC setup for $100. I did explain what you need to do about that already. I said Binance amount of USDT must be greater than minimum of 3. Okay, let's put in that setup again. Back to the setup. Let's see BTC 27.6. Let's do that again. So we move to futures. I did have a user saying for $500, 27.6 and leverage 5. Okay, and I want to make sure auto deleveraging is on. I calculate, it gives me 2.8. Now you're using a leverage 5, it's going to be 2.8 multiplied by 5, so that should give you the average of Binance and you shouldn't have this trouble. But if you do, we're going to look through it right after this call and make sure that is resolved. Someone said, what can we do to the extra capital remaining? So you have more capital than the setup. I would suggest that before any setup are given, we know how many trades to expect. So we can divide our capital to the number of setup. For example, for me, I have I'm not able to see the amounts you specified. I don't know, it's blocking. I have $500 remaining. Since I thought the setup will take any capital, but some require huge capital, that will really be helpful if we know how many trades to expect. Okay, we'll put that into view, tell you how many trades you're going to be expecting for today, and you know how to create your capital before the setup. All right, guys. So what I want to do right away is to push in the setups into the group and make sure we create all of the setups, both the ones like INJ within review, Ocean within review, into the Telegram chat, so you could get it right there. Now, I did say that we're also going to be having testimonials from users, and I did have a user who indicated during the call. So if you're there, user blessing, you want to state it. If you're there, user blessing, you want to state right away. If you're there, then we can have a one-on-one with you, or we could reschedule that for tomorrow, where you get to, I did say for Retraders Real Results, we get to choose one user who has been following the setup to talk about it and tell us how it has been helpful. And we're going to have that one-on-one conversation already. Now, when we do that, you have several benefits. One of the benefits is we're going to put it on all our social media with your referral link. So when people read about your results through the setup, and we're going to say to them, this is this user's link that you can use right away to register. Now, there is some advantage to using your link when we do post that. Number one advantage is that people who use your link get a discount. So you could make money off it. So if you are coming on the Traders Real Results show and you want to talk about your result, and these are verifiable result, means we can verify it before we put it online. So a user doesn't just say he makes a result, because we want it to be 100% your real result. So we're going to verify that before putting that online and accepting it. So when you do that, you could make money off it, in the sense that everyone who registers with your link in the next 24 hours gets a discount. So you can charge people maybe some amount of money to be able to use your link if they want to use it. So, okay, you could pay me this amount to use my referral link, and you're going to get this amount. Tafabot is going to give you maybe a 20% discount, for example, when you use my link. So you could pay me 10% of that, and you can make money off it. So that is one benefit that it gives to you. All right. So we have a lot of users saying, count me in. User Daniel is saying, oh, I want to get in already. The earlier user Blessing, I think we missed you. So user Daniel, we're going to be having that. We also have user Christopher saying, okay, I want in. Then we have questions saying, could we add the calculator into the app? Yes, I did say that, and that's part of the new Tafabot app coming in. The new Tafabot app, when that comes in a few weeks' time, you will not need to impute anything. So all of this whole thing we're doing is totally automated. You just go to Tafabot app and say, I want to create a martingale structure for 25.6 capital 100, save. Automatically, your bot is going to be created. You don't have to impute any data. You don't have to put the martingale entry, the stop loss, the days. Everything is fully automated. That is something to be excited about. So you want to look forward to that. All right, so a lot of users already indicating about Traders Real Result. So we have user Daniel who wants in, we have user Ifetsi, we have user Christopher, and who do we go for today? Every day we're going to try to get at least one user into the section to majorly talk about it. We want to know what is your results and what it has been like using the live setup since we started it. All right, so we're just going to take one user before we step out of the call today and we go into creating the setup. Who are we going for? User Daniel is bumping in a lot of message. So user Daniel indicates if you're ready, I'm going to turn on my camera, you're going to turn on your camera, and we could have the Tafabot users right on this call listening to our setup and how it has been Okay, you are 100% already ready. I can see your cameras standing already. Okay, that's amazing. We want to hear real results from traders on Tafabot. Okay, Daniel, I'm just going to set you in on this. So user Daniel. All right. Amazing. There's so much users who wants in. We're just going to try to take one every day, and we see how far we can take on that. All right. Daniel, your mic is still muted. I'm going to unmute you right away, and the users are already waiting to hear from you. So in just a moment, I'm going to put us live on that. User Daniel. All right, we are ready to almost go. So much users. We have so much users. Oh my God. Users kicking in for that. There's so many of you. We're just going to try to get as much as possible. Okay. There's so many, so many. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, Daniel, can we hear you? Is your mic on?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, just a moment. We can actually just see your forehead. If that will be helpful to a little bit back from your mobile device, that would be great. All right. Okay, so let's hear it. What has it been like? First, tell us, what is your Tafabot result within the past couple weeks of starting, and when did you actually start the live section with us? Let me know if you can hear me. Yes, we can hear you, but yes, you're quite in the background. Other users can indicate you're a little bit quite in the background with your sound.
Okay, but because that's why I'm using my phone, that's why, and then there is no earpiece.
Okay, I get it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's just hear from you.
Okay, maybe I'll bring.
All right.
It has been amazing. I joined the users. That was the first time I start following.
Okay.
And so far, the base of the setup I enjoy much is GMT. I really make a lot of profit with that, as if it should not stop. As if it should just keep going on. So when the Lina stuff come on board, the one that just ended yesterday or early this morning, depending on the location.
Yeah.
So I wasn't afraid at all because the thing was going down. But because of the amazing
it went
result,
way over 50%.
In fact, my own went to as much as 90%.
Crazy.
I wasn't shaking. I was just even putting more money, thinking that I will make a lot of profit from it since the setup is already superb. Because what happened is I started with the copy trade. And when I
Okay.
copy trade, I've been losing a lot of my phone. So at the
Okay.
point, I would just feel like not doing again. Then, bam,
Okay.
this live trading came on board. So I said, oh, this is amazing, this is amazing. So I tried it and then it worked. So in fact, all the setup I had, they are amazing. They're amazing.
Amazing. So what was your rough profit percentage with GMT setup? Did you make 10, 20, 50? Like how much did you make on that in profit percentage?
It was taking the profit as the take profit comes in.
Okay. So I believe the GMT setup was about 5% leverage, I think. And it was like 10 strategy period. So that means you were taking 5% profit at each trade in over 10 times. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So you did make 50% profits.
Yes, sure.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That's the best for me so far.
That's the best. Okay, that's good. So we're gonna have more of this setup coming in. Now, if you had one message you want to tell to new Tafabot traders or new persons who is getting into crypto, I don't know how you got into crypto, if you were trading earlier before Tafabot, or did Tafabot get you really deep into crypto?
It is through Tafa that I get deep into it, and then I become interested to study more, especially the way you put it, very simple to understand and very straightforward. There is it's not straightforward. It's very straightforward, and it's something that if one can just take a bit time to go through it, there is no need for apprehension. When I see people hesitating, intention, I just laugh, I relax, I laugh. Even if the thing is going against me, in fact, I like it to go negative. Especially
because
when
you're
I
gonna get more entries in.
Yes. And then the lesser it is, the better for me. So the more it is on red, others are apprehensive. Me, I like it more. Anytime I check, I want it to be on red so that I will take it because I have that experience with the Nura N. It also, in fact, when it is time to strike, the thing will not do that because it's I don't know the configuration of that one.
Okay, so tell me,
amazing.
Since Tafa brought you really deep into crypto, if you have one message to guys who are not yet into crypto, because they also have this concept of how hard it is, like you said, Tafa did simplify it a lot. What's one single word would you say to such kind of persons who want to get in?
Let them just stick to Tafa. I think for now, that's the best. And I remember the armor we have the other time, that was the day they introduced N. I remember Dr. Vidua was telling me that what he told him, that Tafa will keep being the best as far as the industry is concerned and only the best.
Amazing.
So I think let anyone that is around, for now, when you are starting, just be patient, you will get it. As far as you are
one word is you want to be patient with your setup. That's good.
Yes, that's it.
That's good. That's amazing. So Daniel, we're super glad, and we want to see your trade keep going. Like you're already excited about it, and like we did say, as you keep having this amazing trade, at some point you master it a lot, and you're going to have your own community, your own mirror, who are just following your setup. You make it. If this is easy for you, imagine how much more easy it can be for every other users who can just click a copy and copy you very, very soon as you keep perfecting your trade. So we're really glad to hear from you. We're going to go through this. We're going to vet it also. And once that is approved, I'm going to put in an email that you're going to send an email to into the chat directly to you. And they're going to take both your referral link and everything, and we're going to put it out. When that goes out, you're going to be alerted, and in the next 24 hours, anybody can use your link to register for a better discount. It was really great speaking to you. We look forward to more users like you telling us how this has been helpful. What is your profit and your feedback? It is really, really helpful. Guys, if you're there listening to Daniel, the chat is also open. You want to send that in. And if you want to be on this for tomorrow, you want to send your chat in. Daniel, super amazing. Nice speaking with you. We want to see more of you.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, you're welcome. All right, guys, that is going to be it for today. We're going to be calling it. We want to head into the charts to send in all of the setups that we just did today and start racking in the profits. So see you in the Telegram group right away. Daniel, I just sent you a message you want to send over right now with your details, and they're going to put you through on how you can go about your setup. All right. Thank you, Tafa. Catch you all. All right. Our users don't want to go. They're like, could we just stay here? Daniel, do confirm with me that you did get the charts. Perfect, perfect. You can also indicate in the chat group on Telegram, and the support will follow it up. See you all tomorrow. Cheers.